It's a grand old flag, it's a high-flying flag, it's the emblem for me and for you. It's the emblem of the team we love, the team of...
Welcome to Little Birdie Podcast, a unique look into the world of sports betting from the eyes of professionals. I'm your host, Scoot, and I've got the Kid MG in studio.
Morning,
Marcos,
Scooty. How are you?
final show of the year. Then it's holiday time, golf time.
Yeah, and good timing too. Golf courses is just starting to open. We're here, so
Toilets are closed though.
that's all right. You
Can't go for a leak.
Not gonna worry the guys too much. I would have thought. Females might be in trouble, but that's all right. Play on.
They can find an angle. They can find a way to get beat the Pollies down here in Melbourne, and a little bit of a treat for everyone. We've got Toprope, not only for the opening bounce, he's going to stay on all show and talk things all AFL and his favourite rugby league. Toprope, welcome from the outset.
How good is this? How good is this? The opening whistle, we're away. Looks like I'm running the old double chin. Not surprising. Better fix that camera angle up. We're away.
It's a huge weekend in sport. We've had the AFL Grand Final, the entree to the main course, and that's how Toprope considers it. The D's 57-point win. We'll talk about it first, and then we can talk about the Panthers and the Bunnies. It's going to be an outstanding Grand Final this Sunday night, but let's talk about the D's first. Toprope, did you even watch the game? Be honest.
I did watch the game. I even... realised that I didn't have an aerial connected to the TV, so I even went and purchased an aerial so we could watch it. So that's how committed I was to the game. And look, that's what it'll do to you when there's no rugby league on. You'll do some silly, crazy things, and quite a spectacle. He said it was an entree. It was like having a half dozen chicken crimpies before sitting down to a full lobster white tablecloth dinner.
It was an interesting one. I thought the venue looked absolutely spot on, and the entertainment was, it's always a point of conjecture. It looked like, I don't know, like a really poor medley. It looked like a dog's breakfast. John Butler was there. They had all these artists. It was a bit of a miss.
It was a mismatch on it.
It was a shocker.
But they... the AFL, in terms of their entertainment, actually rate that at the pointy end of their, their spectrum, I guess, over the last couple of decades. So... I think it was too much. I think they had too many acts trying to get them all involved. I don't know. I guess everyone put their hand up in WA that wanted to crack because they only get one over there.
It was a far cry from Tina Turner, and that's what I'm expecting this Sunday night. What are the NRL going to do, Toprope?
NRL's fine, but I'll tell you what. If you were going through a playlist of my most hated artists, from John Butler to Baker Boy, you tick, absolutely abhorrent. Oh, whoever was coordinating the affair over there, I'm not sure that they understand the word of the men coordinating because everyone was mismatched. Well, I thought the AFL entertainment was just someone singing up there Kazali with a guitar, opening bounce. What happened to that? What happened to the old days? That was absolutely ridiculous. I did not realise Western Australia produced so many bland, vanilla, abhorrent artists. It was... wow, it really set the table for the AFL Grand Final. Do you know what the NRL is going with this week, Scooty? Mossy from Cold Chisel. Simple formula in the NRL. Go with Cold Chisel.
I don't mind it. It'll trump it anyway, doesn't it? It's an absolute moral to get the job done. And the night or the twilight Grand Final, it was late when the game was kicking off over in Melbourne. What did you think of it? I didn't like it personally. I'm a big day AFL Grand Final man, and I'm a lot soberer and I'm a lot clearer watching the full game. If it starts at 2:30 or 3 o'clock, I'm a day man. I don't like the night. I didn't like the change. I know. What do you think?
Yeah. Listen, it filled out the day okay because we were enjoying our races for the first couple of hours, so it was filled in, and then we had the storm. Unfortunately, that was a disaster. So from that point of view, it wasn't great. But for the actual nighttime part of the grand final, I thought it looked good. I thought it would look good in the stadium, and it did. And I liked, I didn't mind that. The halftime entertainment went too long. The acts, we're never going to find good ones in the AFL. I just don't understand. Whoever keeps getting that job every year, they must be pushed into it because they just get donuts. But I don't mind the actual night time because most of the finals through the final series are played at night, and then the grand finals actually, the other way being played in the day. So, I agree with you. I'd prefer it in the day, but I'm not putting a shotgun to it at night for me.
What about how long the NRL been going for the night grand final Toprope? A few years now.
So they kicked off. They started about 2000. Let me have a think back for 2001. They reverted back to a twilight grand final for probably a half dozen years, but back at the nighttime grand final now. But I also prefer a daytime grand final for the AFL because going out of their way to clash with the Storm preliminary final probably ruined the Storm's chances. Probably they were a couple of hours underprepared. Very, very disappointing. So, also the inconsideration of clashing with the beginning of a Ryder Cup Day too as well. Come on, AFL, lift. Very, very poor.
So you would have rather seen the AFL during the day, Melbourne Storm at night, and then the races done on Sunday.
To be honest, I would have rather seen the AFL grand final get pushed out to maybe a late November when there's not many sports on, and that would have fit in nicely, to be honest.
Toprope, you love the grand final. It was one of the highest scoring games for the year, so you were blessed that the only one you sit down and watch. You said, "Do we just?"
I was on the under, MG, so I wasn't happy at all.
It was amazing.
Well, that's all right. It was a quick kill. You were done early.
It was a quick kill. Look, to be honest, I didn't watch a lot of AFL growing up. We didn't really know it existed up here in Orange. But I moved to Canberra in 2000, became a little bit acquainted with the game. And I remember the days when it'd be like one-on-one, people jumping on backs, taking what they call them, a specky, all that kind of stuff. That was pretty entertaining stuff, yeah. Fell in love with Richo. I remember some bloke, I spat at Danny Frawley or yelled at Danny Frawley. I thought, I like Danny Frawley, this is a good fella. Got on board the Tigers. Then things seem to have changed. Now, it seems like as soon as the ball hits the ground, there's 15 people around, like a game of under-7 soccer. Pelicans fighting over a chip. And it doesn't sound like there's a lot of free-flowing AFL. Based on the way the D's played on Saturday night, it seemed like that was a pretty free-flowing game, so a few question marks. So, I know you talk about the state of the game with us all the time. I've got a few views on it.
It was interesting. Let's talk about it in a little bit more depth now. And they just got out to a shotgun start, the D's, and they were slick. They looked good early. They were rattled, the Bulldogs. They found a way out of the midfield. Their midfield got motoring for probably 10 or 15 minutes, got themselves back into the game. It was high scoring, but they just ran out of puff. And I guess their preparation, a lot of people thought that maybe the D's had not had the right miles in their legs, but obviously Darren Burgess is critical to them. And now I hear that he's going over to Adelaide Crows, so expect a bit of a revival from the Adelaide Crows. If they turn their fortunes around, that's probably going to be something that Darren Burgess leads. But I wasn't surprised. I thought Melbourne were a chance to run away with it, and I thought that... they just blew them out of the water, and the resistance. And I was a little bit disappointed, like you were, that Doggies didn't try and bring a sort of physicality to the game early in the game, and it was a bit soft, wasn't it?
It was very soft, and looking back on the match as well, not for we preempted on last week's show, and I'm still staggered now watching the replay that Luke Beveridge didn't send out any man, not one Melbourne player had his butt on the ground in the first 5 minutes. For a grand final is astounding. Toprope talks about the differences in the games between NRL and AFL. You see the first clashes of like a state of origin game, and you'll see it on the weekend. The hardest hits are always early.
And you've got to set
and you've got to set the tone. I know rugby league's a slightly different game, but in terms of the physicality, for the Bulldogs to come out and not sit any Melbourne player on their pants early, no wrestle, no scrap, no anything early, just set the tone for Melbourne. And, they didn't try and take any energy out of them, put them off their game. So I don't know. I was a bit shocked that the Bulldogs could actually sit back with a game plan and think that they could outplay Melbourne on a soft style game one-on-one. Because I don't think they had the class across the ground. They had to put them off their game at some stage. So, it was a disappointing element. But as you said, Scooty, they worked their way back into it, and Melbourne were second-guessing themselves. We're seeing different interviews from players. Petrarca was one that caught my eye. He thought when Bont kicked that last goal to put him up 19 points in front, he was walking back to the middle with Oliver and Gawn and basically said, if we don't get the next one, we could be in all sorts here. And they, so self-doubts were there. But, geez, when they flipped the gear, the Bulldogs, I mean, there wasn't a turning point in the game, I thought. There wasn't like an error or anything like that. The Bulldogs Melbourne steamrolled the Bulldogs really quickly. And to kick 16 of the last 17 is unbelievable. You won't see that too often in a grand final.
Even when the Max Gorn goal was disallowed, whether it was a goal or a point, I'm still not sure, and we'll never know, I guess. But even then, you sort of got the thought that, that could swing the game a little bit and the momentum of the game. But they just couldn't pick up their feet. And Petrarca, the longer it went, the better. And his goal on the run from deep inside that pocket, it'd probably rival one of the goals of the year, and especially in the context of the match. It was amazing. Petrarca, he kicked the first goal, and then that Dacos-like goal was incredible. And then he just went into beast mode. And poor old Bailey Fritsch, he's ended up kicking 6 goals, and he's found a Petrarca that's had 39 in absolute beast mode. He's gone to a different level. I think when we started this whole Little Birdie project, I was a big fan of De Goey, but now it's very evident that Petrarca is the elite player in the game at the moment, and he's sort of the next version of, say, a Dusty Martin. And the way that the D's have, I guess, overcome their sort of fears and their confidence levels, it dates back to probably the round 23 game when they came back from the dead, I guess, against the Cats. There was some soul searching there. It gave them the confidence, and then they were the form side when you dig into it throughout the final series. And that's, I guess, how they put away the sides, and especially the Cats, was the key to me. And that's when I thought that got over those mental demons. So it was, in hindsight, it's easy to, I guess, to find the Ds now, but it poses a question: are they now going to be a Tigers or a Richmond Tigers-like dynasty, or is the bunch at the top too close? Brisbane Lions lost, the centre forward line. The Dogs are going to just keep on improving. They got a good spine. They got good kids. They got some good draft picks coming along. All they need is really a ruckman to really counter some of the their deficiencies.
A lot of factors go into it, and only time you can look back. I don't think you really preempt any kind of, unless you're, I guess, Melbourne Storm with Toprope. He keeps writing the same article year after year with the preview for the Storm. But no one went out and said when Richmond broke their drought that they were going to be dominant for the next 3 or 4 year stretch. With Melbourne, I mean, their profile.
Brendan Gale kind of foretold it.
Well, he did actually. The wider betting market certainly didn't. But I don't think, if you look back over the last 20 years, you don't really preempt Brisbane as being going on their run, Geelong, then Hawthorn, and then Richmond. Melbourne may. They've got a young list. They've got all the tools. They've got the most dominant ruckman in the comp, which stood out again. As you said, their Bulls are young as well. So, they won't have too many drop-offs, and they've got some really young players. I mean, the guy that played 7 games this year and won it, is still undefeated in his AFL life and picks up a premiership medal. They've got a lot going for them. And, when you talked about Birdie before with his how fit he got Melbourne and they were able to run out the game, I think the other key was having Mark Williams, an assistant coach. Success follows that guy wherever he goes.
Yeah.
And you never hear a bad word about him. And Petrarca, I thought, again, in his interview, he made a really good point that when the Bulldogs were under the pump, he came to the bench and Williams basically put his arm around him and said, "This is your time. We need to start winning it out of the middle because the Bulldogs were getting on top." And he basically sent Petrarca out there with, it's go time for him. And he obviously went out, related to the men in the middle, and unbelievable how many times they got it out of the middle so quickly and scored so quickly. The Bulldogs just couldn't lay their hands on the ball. So, I just think Melbourne had it covered looking back at it, on and off the field.
Yeah.
I think their only query that the betting market kind of had is maybe why they weren't so much supported is just whether mentally they could break the drought.
Get the job done.
And that's allowed. We've seen that with Sydney. We've seen that with Richmond and the Bulldogs in 16 as well. So congratulations to Melbourne. They were, near the best side all year, and on the biggest stage, they got the job done.
And fantastic, they got it done over in Perth. They deserve to have the home final at the MCG, and they're going to be definitely hard to beat next season. That is for sure. And I watched the game with a couple of people outdoors, as we're allowed to in Victoria. And the only sticking point and the problem that I had with the umpires was that all the fans seemed to hate, that was where I was outdoors at the barbecue, was this deliberate out of bounds. It's still the rule that irks everyone and that needs addressing.
Yeah, well, your mate OB.
OB, and who's not here. He's a tier 1 exposure site, and he's tested negative, thankfully, so he's not joining us today. But the deliberate out of bounds rule is still absolutely terrible. Like, they played it consistently throughout the game, but it was the one blight on the grand final that I'd like to be erased from the game. And I understand it, and we covered it on last week's show, and we've spoken about it to death, but it's still just complete garbage that the fans hate.
Well, I think that sounds like they're going to do it on the off season. From what OB said, it's obviously a bit of a crux for the fans and obviously the players and the umpires. So, hopefully we'll see that tinkered with next year. But just on the umpires, I know OB was building them up that these are the best umpires and whatever. I thought they did a pretty good job. I know it wasn't probably as physical game as people might expect. It was a bit free flowing, but other than maybe the goal umpire with the Gawn one, I don't think there was too many bad or even queried decisions. I thought they did a good job overall. You Scooty, you love bashing the umps.
Oh, I think they did a good job, and it's just the out of bounds rule that I've got. Yeah. That was the only problem, and the only gripe. I was watching two Melbourne and a Western Bulldogs fan just go off their melons at the whole game and the contest, especially to half time. It was fascinating to watch that, and the only problem that we had was this stupid out of bounds rule that's changed games.
But with the
in the past.
Well, as Toprope calls them with the refs, we have the umpires, but you're just never going to get the perfect game, right? No. There's always going to be some decisions in a game of league or AFL that there's going to be a sticking point or query. But the overall, I thought they did a good job. We've beaten up on the umpires several times this year, and they've deserved their right whack. But I thought they handled that game very well. So hopefully for the league this week, Toprope, they do the same thing, because they've had a few ordinary matches of late in the final series. Your refs.
I will not be party to any conversation where we are building up referees / umpires. That you leave me out of that. I have no strong views on the game, but I'm sure the umpiring was abhorrent on the weekend.
Oh, jeez.
Definitely cost the Dogs and any other bet. No, the refereeing in the NRL is at an all-time low for about the 115th consecutive year, I reckon. It is not only is the refereeing poor, the bunker is completely abhorrent, but the Comston is completely flouting the rules. What Penrith have got away with over this final series defies belief. And then for them to whack that trainer in the Parramatta game, 25,000. They had a trainer on there. The trainer's allowed to be on 3 times a half. They had a trainer on for 13 times, Hayden Knowles, directing traffic. He was on with a walkie-talkie, which is also prohibited. He's on the field with a walkie-talkie. And they're just going to keep doing this because they're just buying their way to a premiership. $25,000 fine here, $25,000 fine there. It's NRL has lost the plot with the way they've dealt with some of these issues and some of these matters. And it will absolutely... Why would the Melbourne trainer... Sorry, not the Melbourne. I'm talking out my bottom. I'm rattled. It should be the Melbourne. I'm dreaming in Melbourne. Why would a South Sydney or Penrith trainer leave the field? Like, bloody hell, go and take a crowbar out there and bloody take someone out who makes a break. What are you going to cop, a $30,000 fine? Why not?
14th man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Stupid. It's like I don't know what it's like in those rules with trainers and stuff, but these no-namers are been given run of the roost. They're having a huge impact on matches. Yeah. And why they're just allowed on the field is beyond me. Like, come on when the player's hurt. Come in on a stoppage of play to give someone some water. That's it.
The AFL had that issue a couple of years ago, Toprope, with the runners basically just staying out there. And what they did is basically in between goals, they were allowed out there. And same with the water boy or girl, the trainers. But they only had that time allocated after goals, and then they have to be back off the ground. So it's a bit with the 666. Yeah, they get paid a free kick. That's their only thing. But, and they're only allowed one runner now out on the ground. He can only go to deliver his message and then come back and then the next runner goes. So, because they got in the way a bit, didn't they, for a few years?
Oh, well, they were flaunting the rules, so they had to outlaw it. So it's a similar...
They're behind the play, like directing the defence as to where to go.
Yeah, it's a shocker.
That's what Hayden Knowles was doing. Like Alan Lang, it was... for a long time, there were a lot of ex-players doing this. Alan Lang, one of the great halfbacks of all time, was behind the Broncos line coaching him. Yeah. Where you go?
So they meant to only... Did you say the rules are meant to be only 3 times a half they're allowed on the ground?
3 times a half, yep.
Right.
Yep.
Okay.
Well, this just...
for 13.
It just steers us nicely into sting of the tail. We might skip forward here because it sounds like he's just getting a little bit shirty here, Toprope, so I might take advantage. And what is going on with the NRL at the moment? They've had a rough month. We'll just reel out a couple of issues. Firstly, they bowed to the AFL pressure and moved the prelim, which Storm have since lost. Then we've had the Runnergate, which we're now speaking of, and now it's the Dally M. We talk about it every year. They can't even produce a proper event. They haven't got the security to make it a gambling event. We love gambling, and the Brownlow, it's one of the biggest betting events of the year. So they still can't even pull their socks up to get the security levels up. So
can't even have it on one night. I mean, what kind of joke is that?
It's an amateur-run competition, and it's surprising that we're allowed to bet on it, given how poor the NRL run things. And PVL, he topped it off. He can't even pronounce the players' names. He made me look good.
I'll give the NRL this. It took a lot of effort to make the Dally M's from 2020 worse than the Dally M's from 2021. And they've managed to do it. It was truly incredible. That is one of the great performances of the year. Having it on 2 nights was utterly stupid. Having it in about 3 different venues, you probably really couldn't help that. But to try to make it look like it was in one venue was utterly stupid. It was so bad. The non-reading of vote, the kind of naming 5 nominations is just beyond belief. And then to have PVL come out and read votes for round 24 and round 24 only. He had to read 6 names. He's mispronounced 3 or 4 of them, including the very easy to pronounce Josh, who he has called O'Shea Alawai.
Even I couldn't get
Ollie for Josh Alawai. It was like, if you are telling me the NRL that the world does not need Peter V'landys reading out 3 votes a game for 192 matches with all these Polynesian names and difficult, we are missing a huge opportunity. Bloke can't pronounce rugby right, so it's got to be entertainment for the masses. And if you can bet on it, oh wow, I'd be in for a 2-night journey then.
That was a red
2-night journey.
That was a red flag. He can't even. He calls it rugby league, and then you're going to get this guy to read out the votes. Imagine in Victoria having Giles Thompson, the head of Racing Victoria, read out Brownlow votes. You just could. It just doesn't compute. It's beyond belief. But there he is.
I'll tell you what though, the AFL is such a what's the opposite of multicultural? Is such a non-multicultural game that you could probably get away with it. What about the rugby league? Good luck to anyone reading those out.
What are you talking about? We got players that play from America, Ireland. We've had players from Canada. We've got players from Africa. I mean, I'm not sure what you're talking about. Multicultural. We got people from. Where else?
It's not even a national sport, and I very much enjoyed the article, the revelation about the founder of AFL. What's his name? Tom Wills.
Yeah, we've got AFL teams. We've got AFL teams in more states than the league. You're just lucky. You're just lucky Victoria blessed you with a Melbourne Storm. We didn't have to partake.
It's taken me all year to get MG fired up, but we finally got to fight.
Finally flicked the switch. They found the right winner, though, didn't they, for the Dally M? All jokes aside, sure. Tommy Turbo was by far and away the best player. They didn't fuck that up.
He played like 15 games too. It was incredible that he could win a Dally M off that. So
is that one of the great performances, like individual season wise? The fact that he dominated like that and only played 15 games, or has there been plenty of instances like that?
I've never seen a season like it. The only one that kind of comes to mind, and I certainly hope Turbo's life ends up better than this bloke's, but Jared Hayden 2009. He made a huge run. I don't think he won the Dally M that year. He might have won Class. He may have actually won it. He was just unbelievable for probably the last 2/3 of the season after Brian Smith got sacked. And Jason Taylor took over. So that would be the only thing that would compare.
Yeah, that was unbelievable. Oh, well, maybe you know, the AFL can help you out next year, Toprope. Get on to your mate PVL and we will design a Dally M that we can both cover and bet on.
I'm fully on board. I think I wrote a piece in The Guardian in 2013 talking about how the NRL need to be what the Brownlow. We've had 3 CEOs, 4 chairmen since. Nothing's changed. It's got worse.
Wow.
We're going to do this show ad-free, so make sure if you're betting the ponies this week, puntingform.com.au is Australia's best punting form guide. So if you want sectional time breakdowns, make sure you check out puntingform.com.au. And Top Sport is where you should be betting for the NRL Grand Final. These guys bet the biggest. And now it's time to talk Hall of Fame. Last week it was David Johnson of Ryder Cup glory. And I tell you what, Big Daddy Fraser, he's still got the wood over you. They absolutely steamroll them, the Americans. They were just on fire. I think some people are calling it the slaughter by the water. It was a demolition job, the Europeans, and Rory McIlroy just left with just tears and broken hearts. It's a beautiful setting there on Lake Michigan, wasn't it? Toprope.
Yeah, beautiful. Western Straits, one of the more picturesque courses. Yeah, Big Daddy, too good. It was he looked at 1 goal from the first session. It absolutely was. May have been a little bit persuaded by the heart there rather than the head, but no, well done to the Americans. They were far more likable this time, and no Tiger, no Phil seemed to have a pretty positive impact on how they play this new generation. Might be a bit hard for the Europeans to wrangle in over the next little bit. So, look, wasn't the greatest of Ryder Cups, but it was thoroughly enjoyable.
And we're talking about the Hall of Fame here, and it's someone who does something amazing for the punting. A couple of weeks ago, it was our man Nick Tedeschi, who started the NFL season with his to-the-house package absolutely on fire. Another winning weekend, so he's airborne, $22 a week if you want to bet NFL with him. And he joined Cam Munster, who's probably the president of the Hall of Fame, and poor old Cam Munster and Hectic Cheese. Haven't they found themselves in hot water? NRL, they do it every season. It's just scandal, bubbler after the next. And poor old Munster and Cheese, I tell you what, when it came out, there was a storm scandal brewing, and I think Kittens have got a Brisbane office, so it wouldn't surprise me.
It was a good Hall of Fame party, wasn't it? There.
Well, they would have just been warming up for their pre-season. So if Kittens is closed in Melbourne, I'm tipping the one in Brizzy is still open for business. So they would have just been thinking that they're just going through their pre-season gears, so to speak. But who is this week's Hall of Fame nominee? Who we got for the Hall of Fame? I'd nearly nominate the Melbourne Footy Club. Fill up for me. Fletcher Asia's back. Fill up for me. Just dropped his September results. What is it, 26%, up 40 units for September. It was $1 per week. Fletch Asia, Hong Kong, Cranji, bang.
Get amongst it.
It's back on Friday as well, so make sure you check that out, $22 a week. Everything's 22,
I've
11.
got something to say about Fletch Asia. I'm seeing a lot of Funabashi on a Tuesday and whatnot. Come on, Fletch Asia. Let's expand the horizons. I want Fletch Asia every day. Is that good? And give the punters something to bet on. Funabashi on a Monday. That's what the punters need.
I wouldn't put it past Fletch, to be honest. They can find a winner anywhere.
I want South Korea.
Tentacles.
We need to get some South Korea. What a track. Everybody gets a run on the sand track. The straights are kilometre long.
I'll tell you what, death for the leaders. Death for the leaders. It's unsolved. That's not what you want to see.
That's our next investment. Does Toprope have a winner for the Hall of Fame
this week? I don't know.
That, or is there one more nomination?
Top Sports promo was good last week. It was only $50, but $5 for Bont or Petrarca. So there was a fair few people that clicked through that off our email last Friday. So they've snapped up an absolute gift, Petrarca and Bont at three-quarter time. You've
yeah, that's right. Half-time.
Side away.
Bont was favourite, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Home you went. That was one of the easiest watch. Who you got this week for the Hall of Fame? Toprope. Anything?
He doesn't have a name, so we're going to call him. Ryder Cup punter, Ryder Cup multi punter.
But it's going to be hard to invite to the end of season party, isn't he?
Oh, don't worry. Cam Munster will find him. Cam will find him. We'll have a good time. This bloke on day 3 of the Ryder Cup had an $8 12-leg as they call it, parlay multi over here. Koepka, DeChambeau, Berger, Johnson, Westwood, Thomas, Cantlay, Scheffler, Poulter, McIlroy, a tie in Spieth and Fleetwood, a tie in Morikawa and Hovland. He's walked away with 966,290.
Wow. And you deserve it for finding that.
Wow.
How many bets to take?
To find two ties in that. Holy
That's crazy.
moly.
You just got to dare to dream, don't you?
That's crazy.
Okay, so unidentified Ryder Cup multi-man, you're into the Hall of Fame.
we might be able to dig his name out soon enough.
Yeah,
my research wasn't that great this week.
Someone will know him and find him. We'll get him on the show to kick off next year. You can tell us how he spent the cash.
He joins Mattress Mac, the cash out king. Yeah. There's a few American punters now that the betting's opened up over in the States. So he joins an illustrious stable of punters. That's for sure in the Little Birdie Hall of Fame. I tell you what, it just sounds like we're off the rails on this show. I think we need to start previewing some rugby league games, or let's review the games first. Let's before we dine into the main event or the main course, let's talk about the Rabbits and Manly. That was probably, for me, the emergence of Taff, isn't it? Like, he's Latrell out, and it's sort of galvanised the Rabbits, I feel. And now Taff, a nice pass to set up a try. I thought he's looking the goods. They look steady, the South.
I'd love to give you a full assessment, Scooty, but Orange came out of lockdown at midday on Friday, and I was at the pub about 3 hours later. So by the time the game rolled around, not helped by the delay to Manly, saw a couple of games, to be honest. But South did look good. I think Taff's fitting in nicely there, in that he's not overplaying his hand, which I think is a really, really important thing to do. Like, he's not trying to be Churchill. Yeah, he's getting involved in the catching pass and being reliable. Kind of Cody's taking on more of that playmaking role, bigger than he already was. So, and I also like that with Taff, they do seem to be able to attack the left and the right with kind of equal vigour. With Latrell, they were very much coming down that left side. So I think Taff's fitting nicely. I think if you're taking, would you rather South preparation, where they've kind of played a couple of games? The last one was pretty easy. Would you rather kind of be battle hardened, like Penrith have been involved in some brutal wars? Look, I'd rather be on the south side of the preparation, fresh. That's for sure.
Well, we just saw how it washed out in the AFL, and I'd rather be on the fresher side at this stage. And a couple of acts of God for the Panthers. But I guess talking about Manly for a moment, we've obviously got Turbo with the Dally M. How can Manly improve looking into next season? What do they need?
Yeah, so where Manly are probably lacking is they've tried to build a side like the Storm in terms of they've gone very top heavy. They've invested in kind of 3 or 4 kind of superstars and then try to kind of put some bits and bobs around them. They haven't probably got the coaching of Bellamy, which is no knock at House, who's done a great job there. But they probably then haven't been able to bring through those players. So they obviously need to. Their centres are an absolute mess at the moment, but defensively, both their edges are very easily exposed. Josh Schuster and Olakuato are both very, very good players, very, very good ball runners, but a bit questionable defensively. So, look, they're probably get improvement in them, naturally in terms of they'll take a lot of confidence this year. They're probably overachieved as to where most thought they would have been at the start of the year. So I think there's some natural improvement coming, but they're probably going to start looking at improving their centres and improving their defence on their edges.
All right, let's talk about the Storm and the Panthers game. MG, you were flat as a tack.
Yeah, it was a big build-up all year. Definitely thought we were on the right pony. Trying not to celebrate too early, but geez, that was just it was a blowout game, wasn't it? I just can't even describe how bad it was. And I see Bellamy's already binned it because it was just so unlike Melbourne Storm. Just couldn't hold the ball at all. And it was just, it's almost like, you couldn't believe it was happening that they could play so bad. And yet they were still in the game. So, yeah, I like Toprope how he's coming with on the South part, because I don't think Penrith have played that well for a while now. They could have easily gone against him in the Para game. Melbourne Storm,
easily.
Melbourne Storm, it was all on them more than Penrith winning the game, in my opinion. And I think if Souths come out, play the way they're playing, and don't make the errors at Melbourne Storm and stuff, Penrith are going to have a hard time holding out the Bunnies. I don't know, Toprope. What do you think? I just think Penrith's attacks kind of disappeared of late. Like it's their defence is unbelievable. You can't question that bit. But I'm just not sure if the Bunnies can crack the Penrith defence, and I know that's hard to do. I'm not sure Penrith have got the points to go with the Bunnies if all things are even.
Penrith were lucky to get away with it. In the final 2 or 3 minutes of the game, I thought Penrith were going to get beat. I thought the Storm could still run them down despite dropping everything. It seemed like every time they went forward, the Storm, they'd fumble the ball or almost fumble it. It was the most unlike Storm match I've seen for years. It was disgusting.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, from the videos that emerged on Monday, I'm good. I would hazard a guess and say that was Friday night before the game, not Saturday night after the game, based on the way they were catching. I've never seen the Storm drop so much pill. It was very un-Storm-like, but kind of it did come home a little bit to roost. I know there's not an unlimited salary cap, but the lack of investment in the outside backs, like really kind of reached some balls. Like George Jennings dropping that ball off the start. He was in because Lumi was horrible the week before. Lumi was in because Eriema was horrible the week before. So they kind of lucked out with Vunivalu and a few others who have come through the ranks. But no knock on Olam. He made the Dalian team of the year, a pretty solid year, and he had an absolute shocker. But some of those outside backs were appalling. But Munster, I've never seen Cameron Munster play worse than he did on Saturday. He was awful. Harry Grant, who's been outstanding all year, he was taking wrong options left, right, and centre. And for the first time, I reckon they were actually missing Cameron Smith. And that's no knock on Cameron. I love Cameron, greatest player, I think, that I've ever seen. But they just rolled on. They kind of accepted he was gone. They rolled on pretty nicely. When the kind of pressure was on, there was a lot of panic in that side, which you don't see from Melbourne. So it was just, I think you're 100% right. I think they were there to be taken, Penrith at the end. I think they were. They invited Melbourne in time and time again. Melbourne just couldn't take it. Melbourne just could not handle it. So, look, we were heavy on them all year. They've been good to us all year. I thought they'd kind of clip back into form that first week of the finals, but just wasn't to be. So, real disappointing end. And they would have gone in. I think they would have gone in kind of 6.5 point favourites if they'd won that game against South. And I think they would have won it pretty easily against South. They've got a tremendous record against them. So very disappointing. Lost a lot of sleep over it. And not because of celebrating with Munster or Smith either. So
the injuries in the first half, it definitely took the sting out of them to mount a comeback late in the game.
Losing Cheese was bad.
Yeah.
And Welsh was no good either. So
Welsh.
They're probably their two big energy forwards with the quick leg movement who can get them going. That's how Nelson and Tui Kamika and take full advantage, and Harry Grant as well. Of those quick play the balls, they get the big body coming in next. They get up and get a quick play the ball. Grant takes off. Losing that really, really hurt them. And Cheese just brings an energy about him. So everything that could have gone wrong did go wrong. Yeah. And he lost by 4 points, but you know what? Lost is a loss. 19 straight wins means nothing when you're losing a prem.
Finucane, Fox, Addo-Carr, does that dampen your spirits for Storm next season, or is Bellamy just too good?
I haven't got that far yet. It won't dampen it too much. The Hines Papenhuyzen situation was a weird one, right? It was like you had too many goodies to play with. So I think Papenhuyzen will be just better without Hines breathing in his neck, and Hines loves a good year too. Addo-Carr is really weakening up that outside back contingent, and I think it was the right decision by Storm to let him go because of the money he'll command. But it's a worry for the Storm what they're going to do with their outside backs. They have probably nobody in the club other than Olam who you really consider a legit starter there. Finucane, he'll be easily replaced. He's a veteran. He's a very good player, but he's kind of dime a dozen, so he'll be right.
All right, let's put a positive spin on this now, and let's have a look at the big dance. I keep saying it because a lot of people hate when people call it the big dance, but it's the grand final this Sunday at Suncorp. Palaszczuk will let the game go ahead. Don't worry, she loves cash, so there's no doubt that it's sort of like OB last week. It was just not going anywhere from Optus Stadium last week, and it won't be a venue change here. They love the cash. Suncorp Stadium, Penrith Panthers $1.68 at Top Sport, South Sydney Rabbits $2.26. The line 3.5, and the total's been on the move. I think it's been 39.5 to 37.5 already, and the under again is into 180 here. Okay, hammer at home at Toprope. Tell us why we're betting the Souths.
Yeah, look, we talked about it earlier. Penrith had a very, very difficult preparation. I'm just not sure they're going to make it. The defence has obviously been very, very good, but it's scored 4 tries in 3 weeks. Right? I don't know. I like the Bennett v. Clearidge and the coaching battle. This not only means a lot to Bennett, he's a hell of a lot smarter than Bennett. And I kind of feel that Penrith might get a bit overcooked this week. A few injuries at the Panthers. I know Dylan Edwards is carrying injury. Tavita Pangai Jr. was at the name. South's relatively healthy heading into this one. Look, Souths are very good as outsiders. Penrith have not played that well outside of Sydney at all, so for a long time. So I think Souths are pretty good value here. Favourites also have a very poor recent record in grand finals. So I'm happy to be on the bunnies this one.
Penrith have covered 9 of 27 interstate and just 4 of 12 off a win.
Yeah, Toprope's been saying that for a while. Penrith aren't any good out of New South Wales. He's been ringing in that. So hopefully for this week, by the sounds of it, Souths.
So it's the key here for Souths to come out and put points on early. I think you were tipping it's going to be a low-scoring game, but do Souths try and score quickly, or do they have to just hang into the match and hopefully overrun them in the second half?
Yeah, Souths have got to grind this one out, much like they did in the opening game here. They've just got to not let Penrith get away. Penrith are nearly impossible to run down when they're in front. But if Penrith jump out to a 12-0 lead, Souths aren't winning. Full stop. Penrith have to, what Souths do on the scoreboard, kind of irrelevant. They just can't let Penrith get away from them. So I love the under in this game. I can't believe the total opened up 40.5. I can't believe it's 38.5 now. I don't think it's going to last. The under has hit in 11 of the last 14 deciders. Games typically, classically, in recent times, have ended up in the 20s in the NRL Grand Final. So last year, there was a flurry of points late, and that game went over. But it was looking like it was an under game for all your money for most of the game as well. Penrith have scored 4 tries in 3 weeks. The last time these two teams met, there was 26 points scored. 5 of the last 6 between these two have gone under the total. Souths have been a great scoring team all year. I don't see a Wayne Bennett side coming and trying to put on 30 in the grand final. It just kind of would be anathema to what you try to do to win the decider. Bennett's not going to do that. I think they'll be looking for a couple of tries and kind of winning the big moments here. So love the under and think if Souths are going to win, the longer this game is kind of a one-score game either way, the more Souths are in it.
All right, let's have a look at the Clive Churchill medal. Odds courtesy of TopSport and Nathan Cleary. No surprise, his favourite $4. Cody Walker $7. Cam Murray $10. Damien Cook $12. Carosi $13. Yeah,
thanks,
$13. Adam Reynolds $14. Luai is $14. Brian MG's man $26. Kurt Catewell $26. Dylan Edwards $31, and James Fisher Harris $31. I think there's been a bit of money for Brian. He's been 50s into $26 there. But thoughts here? Is it hard to bet around the favourites Cleary and Walker traditionally?
Yeah. So there's a kind of profile that wins the Churchill medal. You need to be a rep player. You probably need to be from the winning side. You probably need to be a half, and you definitely cannot be an outside back. No outside back, centre or winger has ever won the award. No hookers won the award since 2006, and hookers, that includes a lot of Cameron Smith games. So bit of a surprise edge there. So look, if Penrith win the game, it would be hard pressed going against Cleary, the $4, and probably if you like Penrith, the $4 is probably value.
Way to go.
So can't argue with that. I couldn't be jumping too much in. I couldn't be having Dylan Edwards all no at footy. Can't have Coruscant as a hooker. I'm looking a bit wide. James Fisher Harris is a guy who makes an impact through the middle. His minutes are a slight worry there, and also carrying a bit of an injury. Luai not the worst at $15, but not overly excited with that. On the south side, a couple of good bets here. Cody stands out, but it's short enough for mine, not jumping into him. Going to have Adam Reynolds. I think you can get about $17 Reynolds. I'm not sure what he was with Toppy there. But
into 14.
Into 14. He's halfbacks have a tremendous record. He is a great kicker. In a low-scoring game, the kicking is going to stand out. He is capable of producing a very good moment, and his game management is second to none. So, and if this is close and he kicks the winning field goal, he's going to get it. So I think it's great value there. I wanted to squill into one. I don't even think it was on the board there. Tom Burgess, I think he's about 80 to 1.
Yeah.
Little something for those who don't mind a little bit of Ric Flair. He's played for England. He stands out. Everyone knows Tommy Burgess. he's been a tremendous meter eater of late. He's top 200 in 2 of his last 3 games. So I think that's he's not the worst. His minutes are a big worry, but if he kind of gets on and he can score a try, so it wouldn't be beyond Tom Burgess to win a Churchill.
Mm. What's the injury update, Toprope, on Reynolds? He took a bit of time to warm up in the last match. With he didn't kick early, and then he started to kick. Was it just before halftime or just after? So is he overcome that injury fully now? Yep, no concerns.
No, hasn't overcome the injury fully, but he will be needled to the eyeballs to play. So
Okay.
I'm not overly worried about it. It was kind of came on late last week, and probably didn't have the full time to prepare with it. I don't think he's going to play a huge part in the physical side of the game. I'm sure parents will be trying to target him. He doesn't traditionally do a lot of running of the ball to the line. It's not his go. I think we're going to see. I think he'll be able to kick fine. I think that's the most important thing.
Okay. How many tries? We saw it. Bailey Fritsch kicked 6 and missed out with Petrarca on fire. But Brian To'o, AJ Taff, or say a Benji Marshall or a Gags, how many tries do they need to score to win the medal, or is it just not possible?
No outside backs winning a medal. Doesn't matter how many tries you score. Yeah, it might help if you're a fullback and can get over the line. You can score 3 tries, or we can score 3 tries. They're not going to get the medal. Michael Robertson did it in 2008. They just don't win it. They just do not win the award. So I'd be stunned if anyone, if any winger, including Brighton To'o, got the award.
What about first try scorer? We covering that? Who should pick?
Got one there I like here.
Yeah, I like it. Get into it.
I like Jackson Paulo out on the right edge. There's a lot of talk about AJ on the left for South. South is with Taff in the side been going right a lot more of late. He's got 5 tries in 5 finals games. He's got 9 tries in 13 games this year. He got a double last week, so he's scoring a lot at the moment, Paulo. I think he's a bit of value out that side. So you can get about $2.50 any time.
Yeah, he's $12 for the first try.
$12 for the first try. So there you go.
Oh, I like it.
AJ's $2.12 for an anytime. So if you like the bunnies, maybe AJ's the way to go. And Marksman Brian To'o was $2.02 if you're playing in the anytimes. We've been having mini fill-ups on those along the way. And a bit of a hat tip from me, Toprope's GGOA throughout the season. He's won at 4.57%. So he's got his nose in front for the year, which is good. So he's been on fire lately in the finals. So hopefully for my bunnies, and I've got a big contingency of South Sydney friends. OB does a show, obviously. Sess, who's having a rough trot up in Sydney. Hopefully the bunnies can get over the line there, and Jezza and all the boys up in Sydney. It's amazing. All the bunny supporters that you know that come out of the woodworks. Johnny Walter, friend of the show, also he'll be there. He'll be one of the few people that we know at the game, given it's up in Queensland. And there'd be a lot of guys.
Even Toprope.
There'd be a lot of guys contemplating getting a chopper in, or trying to find a way across that border, or getting a boat and going around, or there'd be just some hijinks. So we saw it happen in Perth. So I wouldn't put it past a similar type of scandal. And my mail is the Demons bloke who runs the bar. He's got dobbed in by a wag, a disgruntled wag. Has dobbed him in. So I think that's a Demons player.
Sounds like a story for another show. Anyway, is Toprope sending down his chopper to pick you up for the grand final, or hasn't offered yet? No, nothing from Toprope? No. Oh, he's left you off the guest list. Wow. Fair income.
I will be watching the grand final stone cold sober from my surrounds in Orange. So very low rent this year. It's just happy there's a grand final to be played, to be honest.
Yeah, it's been a tough couple of years. And it's funny to think, little birdie show, we've done all of our 4 episodes in 2 years under COVID restrictions. So it's a real big it's just a funny time that we're living in. But a big thanks to topsport.com.au and Punting Form. They're great supporters of ours, and hopefully we've given you some insights that are just not generic or run-of-the-mill. We're allowed to tip winners on the show, and we try and look at it from a different angle so you guys at home can learn a little bit more about how we think about betting, and we do that across all our shows, our Bet Doctor shows, our Third and Long, and we offer a different perspective rather than just try and tip the obvious every week. We don't always get them right, but hopefully we've improved your punting journey, and a big thanks to the Mellahans and Shane Baker and Heath and the boys from Punting Form. It's been a great season too, and we'll be back on deck next year and get stuck into it again. But and a big shout out to our AV guy too for making us look good when we're picking our nose off camera and editing out all our errors and our furphy. So big thanks to Borko as well. He does a great job cutting it all up. So that's a wrap from us for the season. Hopefully we can get the bunnies home, and it's going to be a fascinating grand final. Can't wait. We'll be, I think, outdoor barbecues down here. Is that the go for some
picnics? We're allowed picnics.
I don't know what we're allowed to do. Can't have a slash when we go for golf. So enjoy your freedoms up there, Toprope, and let's hope the bunnies can get it done. I know you're pulling Penrith's tail.
Go you bunnies.
Fantastic stuff. All right, make sure you check out Bet Doctor. The racing is heating up for the Spring Carnival, and it's going to be a cracking show this week, and also Third and Long, the NFL stuff. So if you are keen to bet NFL in the off-season to get you through, there's plenty of winners to be had there. And as I said, Toprope is on fire. But that's a wrap from our sports show for the year. And thanks, MG. It's been fun, and we'll catch you next year.
See you guys.
See ya.